Good morning, everybody. This is Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong. I've just been sitting here looking at the next page in the quilt-covered journal. What have we done? I still want to go back and do something to my front cover because, you know, I put the varnish on it and I think I did a sloppy job, but I'll figure something out. You know, actually, I've been wanting to see what would happen if I just did that. I'm having fun with these alcohol inks. I wonder if it will even soak into the varnish. Will it run? Ooh, it will. It is staining it. Alcohol ink stains non-porous surfaces. So that's one reason it's really nice to have around. I'm going to go ahead and close this. I know that it'll probably get on the other page, but I'm just completely having fun with this journal. Look at all the blue paint here from the next page, which was the night sky, and I love it. I think it's so pretty to have a little bit of, I guess, overlap. Now, there can be too much in certain situations, but this is our play journal, and we want to have a month's worth of writing. We're onto this page, and I wish that I could post every single day. I've been working. I have to go to work in a little bit. Away from home is what I mean. I have a job away from home. I love it. I truly do. I know, I just can't say that enough. I worked for years in something that I didn't really want to do. I did it for my family. I will never regret that. I did medical transcription and then medical editing for years because I could do it from home. And I won't say I hated it, but I have always had the need to be an artistic person or a creative person, so I love my current job. It feels so good to do something that I want to do every day. Now that I've said that, on this page, I believe we all have a map on this page. I hope. I tried to build these journals all exactly the same. At any rate, whatever your next page is, I want to do a really Victorian page. Most Victorian scenes or landscapes or households or whatever were very busy. They had a lot in them, just like this paper. It was just... Queen Victoria wanted everything to reflect a beautiful, peaceful, happy, pure, lovely home life. Meanwhile, we have writers like Charles Dickens who were trying to let the world know that life wasn't that rosy for everyone. What a day this has been. Oh my goodness, it's been such a busy day at work. I can't even put it into words. Just know that I walked a lot, taking care of customers and putting things out on the floor, going back and forth from the area that I work in the back to the sales floor to help customers and to the register. It's busy. I love it. I love interacting with the customers, and many of them I know from just kind of the art scene, I guess. And some of them come in and know me from my retail store that I had in Hillsboro. So I love seeing people come in who used to shop with me. That's really fun. I'm taking one of these cameos from that bracelet. I think I showed it to you. At this point, I'm trying to remember what I did in the live video this morning and what is going to be part of this video. So this is one of the cameos from that bracelet I purchased, and I'm just sewing it to the front of the journal. It's like a large bead. It has 2 holes on each side, and they run all the way through. And I just want to put enough thread in here. enough stitches to really hold it in place. I'm just doing like an X underneath and attaching it to the fabric and then going back and forth. I'm going to do that maybe one more time. And then I'll tie it off. I may add some more thread later. But this journal is completely to have fun with. Okay? Nobody needs to be afraid to try new things, because when you're done at the end of a month, it's going to be so awesome. We're just going to keep adding things and adding things and adding things. And let me see if I can have enough thread to wrap this around. Tie a little knot under there. I can remember my mom showing me how to do this years ago. I was so young. I had to be in about 2nd grade, and my mother was so patient. She was so sweet. She gave me a little piece of fabric and a very large needle that was already threaded. She showed me how to thread it, and she watched. She was really close by, but I remember sitting on the floor under the kitchen table and just doing a very simple stitch. Oh, I'm so glad she taught me things like that, because that's part of why I love making things. So I just put one of these on the front of my journal. And feel free, your journals, just embellish them however you want to. Add what you want to. So there's the ink that I tried out. You know, I love it. It just adds one more thing. And we have that first page. There's our Frida Kahlo page and the night sky. So for this page, I think I just want to embellish a page with a lot of stuff. I love this Victorian paper, and one of the calendars I used to always buy was I think it's just called Victoria. But they are absolutely beautiful. I definitely want this rose on the page. So maybe I will tear a little bit of this off of the bottom. And a little bit across the top. We're winging it. We're just winging it. I do have some ideas about things I want to do, but there's no set plan yet for how this page is going to turn out. So let's use some Mod Podge. I love that paper. Everyone should have a piece of this. Anything that we come across, if I have left something out of your packs, which I hope I haven't, let me know and I will send it out immediately. I tried to be really careful with the packaging. I think I want to use some gold paint as well. Yes, you know, we did the gold paint test not long ago, and this Artist Loft ended up being a pretty good one. I'm just going to do like a frame. Let's do it here as well. And don't worry if it gets in the center there and on this page, that's fine. I'm going to distress the pages a little bit too. Just put some ink on the edges. I'll come back with a paintbrush with water. That's pretty. Looks like maybe some of the gold is still wet as well. That's pretty. Now, I have an idea for this page. One of the things that I know I want to do on this page, I love these Tim Holtz die cuts of the Victorian and sort of early 20th century people. I want to do one of my own little die cut sort of things. I have a picture here of my grandmother and her siblings. There were 13 children in the family, and there are 10 here. These are all of the living siblings. 3 of the children died young, and I just cannot imagine the heartbreak. I believe they were all little boys, and my grandmother's talked about it a little bit. My grandmother is gone now as well, and I miss her so much. She was such a good woman. She was a good mother and a good grandmother. Let me show you which one is my grandmother. So this is my grandmother right here, second from the left. She was really close to this sister, and you can tell that. They were the youngest. There was a huge span in age, as you can imagine. Maybe 20-some years, but, you know, some of the older sisters were quite a bit older and already had young children and children that were getting older. So I want to include this. I wanted this page to be Victorian, to have a lot on it. Now, sometimes I attach little flap pages by overlapping something on the other side, but I don't want to put anything else on this page. So I'm going to be careful to keep everything on this side as far as the way I attach this. I do want to distress the back of this. Let me get my paintbrush out. And you know how I sometimes work. I don't really mind if some of this carries over to the page underneath. Does anyone here get the Stampington magazines? I usually buy them. I buy them off of the stand at Barnes & Noble. I love to go to Barnes & Noble and look at all the different ones they have. Where Women Create. Somerset Studio has always been my favorite. But I don't have the newest issue. I don't think. I think there's a new one out. I'm thinking about subscribing to that magazine instead of buying it off the newsstand. I bet it would be less expensive, and then you could count on it. You wouldn't have to go out looking for it. So to attach this, I'm going to bring this in some. I think I want to use a little bit of fabric. I think I might use a little bit of this that I just purchased. I don't really want to bring the red into this page. I don't think. Maybe I could. There is red in the flowers. But let's just get a little piece, just a little rectangle. So let's put glue on the page and some glue on the image. Lay that into place. Keep all the glue under there. Oh, it slid a little bit. And then we're going to put some on the other side as well. I sometimes use washi tape like this, but it doesn't always hold. If there's a lot of weight under it, it wants to pull loose. My journal entry on the Frida Kahlo page keeps pulling loose. So, and that's okay. I just went and added some glue to it, and it's going to be fine. But let's use that to make our little flap. And in fact, let me go back and check on my Frida page. Yeah, that's going to be better. This, okay, I like that. And then let's make sure. So that page is still fine. So the next thing that I know I want to do is make a little crown for my grandmother. I started out by cutting a little rectangle that has the bottom that would be the right size to go across her forehead. So like it would sit right on the top of her head. That looks like a good one. I'm going to round it the tiniest bit. I don't want it to be too, yeah. And then I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. Then let's put some little peaks in it. So there we go. She has a polka dot right in the center. They were close. These 3 were the youngest. They were all close, but I remember these 2 great aunts very well. Their mother, my great-grandmother, was very Scottish. Her family just went straight back to the Outer Hebrides in Scotland in the 1600s. Well, that's when we know the first one came over. I really would like to have gold on there. I've got this silver pen. Doesn't look bright enough. I might have to add some gold. Let me get my tiny little paintbrush. There we go. I'm really bad about letting paintbrushes stand in water, but I never do that with these tiny ones because it will bend those bristles and it won't be worth anything anymore. So I always wash those out and then straighten out the bristles. She needs some sequins. I managed to find some sequins. Yay! Some blue ones. There we go. So my grandmother's got a pretty crown. I might want one of these birds on this page because again we're going for a Victorian, kind of overly embellished. I just remembered the name of that Charles Dickens book. It was Hard Times. All I could think of earlier was Great Expectations. I'm not sure I'm going to like these little areas cut out around the feet. Oh yeah, that's cute. So let's glue this down. I'll show you one of the things I did. We'll do it again. I think I shared it in another journal, but it was really pretty fun. I'm going to put just a few drops of this alcohol ink in that little tray and then take paper clip and put it in there and roll it around. It's going to dye the paper clip and probably my hands. I shouldn't be doing that. That's not going to come off very easily. I went and got my gloves so that I don't dye all of my fingers. So let's see, it does stain the paper clip. While I was off running around though, a lot of this dried up, and alcohol inks do dry really quickly normally. Also, I want to say, I know that things like this can be pricey, so I don't know that I would just, you know, always dump it into a container and use it for paper clips, but I might. I'm just saying that there are a lot of things we can do. One thing I do want to try, we're going to be brave. I'm going to add some water in here. Oh look, see, it's not really even, the water is not breaking that down like it would do if it was acrylic paint. But I won't be stopped. I'm going to add some more and see what would happen if I put a little bit on my grandmother's dress. It's really dark, but there it's getting lighter as we get a thinner and thinner amount on the brush. Look at her little shoes. Oh, they're so sweet. Now, some of the older sisters I didn't really know. They had beautiful names, by the way. So many beautiful names. My grandmother's name was Jewel, and she was too. She was a jewel. So there, I like that. I like her dress being that color. I'm going to take some white paint, put some over here, and I want to get a card. Here we go. I use my MVP card. I have the Food Lion app on my phone, which is awesome. If you haven't tried it, if you're in an area that has a Food Lion, the Spend and Save or Spend and Earn, whatever it is, Shop and Earn. So let's just make some little lines there with the card. Dip it in the paint, and then it's like it makes a little, maybe like the bird standing on something, and then you can kind of do some in opposite directions. It almost looks like a tree branch. Since I bought some new tickets, and I am going to add this color to the shop inventory, but I think I want to take a I think I want to add a ticket to the page. Look at that. Okay, I'm going to be brave and try something. So one of the things I bought for this journal is the, and I'm going to leave my gloves on because these things are so messy. Oh, this ink can be so messy. So this is a little jar of liquid ink. So supposedly you dip this in far enough to fill this little well with ink and wipe the edge off. I don't like this pen because of how it grabs. This little nib here is not doing anything. I'm going to try this broader tip that apparently is made for some kind of calligraphy. Let's do a MacGyver. So what if we try this? The reservoir is a little different on this one. So let's wipe off the excess. Ticket. 2. Oh, this is awesome. Ticket to Fly. And this other one, I'm tempted to throw it away. It is really horrible. I hate to say that, but it doesn't even write. I mean, it doesn't work. Now, it looks like I started out with too much ink, maybe, or maybe I just kept writing after I should have stopped. Okay, it's pretty messy up here, but I think I really do still like the overall effect. I wonder if you can use it. Let's outline this little bird. So I'm really, really glad that I purchased this, the pen even that doesn't work very well. And I happen to have this other nib in my treasure chest of stuff that didn't have a holder with it. So I've made my own. I think I'm going to really have to decorate this pen too. We'll do that in just a minute. I have some ideas. I'm going to be using this a lot, and I think I'm going to invest in some more. I really like this. Let me make my pen what I want it to be. Pretty. Clean off the excess. So it's March 31st. Holding that the wrong way. I think I'm going to put my little personal entry on this page over here. Let's see how that does. So, I do like the way this turned out. I keep seeing little things that I might want to add. And again, this journal, we're just going to keep adding. That's what it's all about. I want this by the end of 30 days to be so full of everything. I want it to be a treasure that we absolutely love. One of the pictures that I printed while I was thinking about this spread is a picture of my mom, and it's kind of grainy. I know that it is. There's a really good, or a better, I should say, better original of this somewhere. Another picture that I printed, and I want to distress all of these because I want to stay with that kind of old, distressed Victorian look. And again, I don't care if some of this overlaps onto the page. I don't want that to be too wet though. There's my little towel. That's neat. I'll use that for something. So I just want all these layers of photographs, like a little book of all these generations. There's my grandmother, and let me tell you, When you drip ink, this alcohol ink, onto paper, it goes right through. I'm so glad I didn't drop that over my grandmother's face. Now, I'm sorry that my Aunt Eva ended up with ink over her face, but this page is all about my grandmother, so I'm not going to fret about that. In fact, it makes it look kind of cool. Got a couple of spots over here, and they too went right through the page, but I like that. I like that a lot. I may do some more of those. Well, let's do one or two more. Put one up there. Ooh, and let those come through to the other side. We did this one with fabric, and I guess we might want to stay with that through the rest of this spread. We could also use some different kinds of fabric, which we might. I really, really like this. Oops, I put the fringe at the top. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. So we have that there. So that's my beautiful mother. And then let's add another piece to the back. And let's put some hinges on these pictures. I'm going to do this one on this side. So that's going to butt up next to that one. Flip that over and put another hinge. Oh, look what, that was 2 layers. Ooh, but I like that. So what in the world did I cut? That's what I want to know. What did I cut? Really? Look at this. Why is this part 2 layers? Look at that. That's beautiful. Where did that come from? So why did I not notice that? These pieces are not 2 layers. That's pretty. That was a happy accident, as they say. Is this piece the same? Yep, no wonder it was so thick. It was just that one piece. How interesting is that? So, one more thing that I have. This came from an old greeting card. And I think it's a little bracelet. It was just attached inside the card. And it says, these are, I don't want to use the word cheap, but they're really just cheap little charms. They're cute. This says wit, wisdom, and compassion. Somehow I would love to be able to attach this. I'm sure I can, even with a needle and thread. I could sew this to the edge of the page. Or do I want it across the top? I might want it across the top. And instead of sewing it to the page, I think I might want to put some fabric on the page. Clip it to the fabric. So we're going to put that right up there. We could always add more gold paint to the fabric. Okay, so this is going through the page, just so you know that. I'm using a couple of safety pins to put this in place. I might have liked it better if I had sewn it to the page, but I don't think so. I like this, and that fabric kind of reinforces the page. And if we want to, we could add more. I think layers just make something prettier and prettier. Let's put a little bit of gold paint. And so that kind of brings the little gold frame back together, and it also reinforces the fabric. So we've got wit, wisdom, and compassion, and the little note about my grandmother. And then we've got the journal entry for today, and this gives me space to go back and journal. And actually, let me go ahead and write my mother's name on the back. So that is all for today's spread.